And welcome back to The Drive. It's time to go inside the glass, as we do each and every week. Inside the Glass is brought to you by Calgary Co-op Wine, Spirits, Beer. Enjoy member-exclusive savings on your favorite sips. Visit coopwinespiritsbeer.com. Kevin Schorath is joining me in the studio today. Kevin is the sommelier at it's the Crowfoot location, right?
Crowfoot, correct.
The Crowfoot location. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. I'm actually very excited because we're talking, I love wine. Don't get me wrong. I really do. I like all types of wine. But whiskey is my thing. I favor scotches, but I do like bourbons. Mm-hmm. And today it's a local bourbon, right?
Correct. Yeah. So, this is a single cask that we purchased and bottled from Bridgeland Distillery, and it is a Tabor quote-unquote bourbon. It's intentionally misspelled, B-E-R-B-O-N.
Yes.
And that's because it can't legally be called bourbon, B-O-U-R-B-O-N, because it's not made in the States.
Okay.
So the little fun play on it is it's Tabor corn that's the main grain going into this whiskey, so we just took the B-E-R from Tabor bourbon.
Yeah, very good. I like it.
That's where we're at. So.
And the same distilling process as a regular bourbon, all that stuff?
Yeah, copper pot still. Yeah. It's aged for 2 years in American white oak, just like bourbon needs to be minimum. And this one's actually bottled near cask strength, so it's 55% alcohol.
It is,
It's pretty punchy.
Yeah, it is punchy. I took a sip and it's there. Like it's definitely there, but it's not obscene. Like it's not like it's way hitting you over the head with it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely pleasantly smooth for something that's as high ABV as this one actually is.
Yeah.
I'd throw maybe just a couple drops of water in it to mellow it out a little bit more and allow those aromas to come out. But for the most part, it's a very, very good whiskey. So.
Nice. I find I tend to do that no matter what the whiskey is. Mm-hmm. Just to break it up a tiny bit, you know?
Yep.
Like, you don't drown it by any, just a tiny thing to break it up.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what that does is that actually helps release the fusel oils in the whiskey, and it just helps with the aromas. It basically makes them more volatile and aromatic, and then you get a better aroma coming out of the glass.
Yeah, and there is quite a bit. I mean, like, sure. I'm getting caramels and I don't know. You even know a lot more than I do, and it certainly tastes delicious. Like when I'm nosing it, that's what I get. Like there's not as much as vanilla as I normally would expect.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, so with bourbon specifically, all of them have to be aged for a minimum of 2 years in new American white oak barrels, and because vanillin, the same ingredient that's in vanilla beans, is pretty common in that type of oak, you're going to get a lot of that in bourbon whiskeys. And this one was also aged in brand new charred American white oak barrel, so you do get that, but it definitely has much more of a fruity kind of like cooked citrus kind of character to it.
I like that, cooked citrus.
Yeah.
It's like a roasted citrus, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's much like when you're making an old fashioned and you zest the orange peel over top of it. It's kind of like that.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and I mean this is delicious sipping on its own, but I mean like if you do want to make a funky old fashioned, this would be good for it.
It'd be great for it.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, and I understand this is on sale right now because of our segment this week.
It is, yeah. So if you go to our e-commerce website, Calgary or coopwinespiritsbeer.com, you can jump onto our online store, and it's down from $63.99 to $54.39 until April 23rd. So due to this lovely segment that we're having right here. So.
I like it. Okay, and just to remind everyone, so this is the Bridgeland Distillery Tabor Straight Bourbon, and bourbon is B-E-R-B-O-N, as in Tabor Bourbon. Straight bourbon, again, cask strength, and they're numbered too, right? This is a limited run.
Right, exactly. So we bought one barrel, and that one barrel netted however so many bottles. I actually think it says on the bottle there how many there were in total. But yeah, there's a very limited amount of this because it was a single barrel. So once it's gone, it's gone.
It says mash number 2, grain spirit aged. What does that mean when you see something like mash number 2?
So that will refer to the mash bill or the recipe of the grain that's going into the distillation process. With this one, it's 60% corn, 32% barley, and then 8% wheat. So that rounds out the blend for this particular whiskey.
Okay.
So, and oddly enough, it actually can't be called a whiskey yet.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why you won't find it anywhere on the bottle. In Canada, in order to be called a whiskey, it needs to be aged for a minimum of 3 years in oak. So this one doesn't quite hit that because it's only 2 years, which is the minimum for bourbon in the States. So kind of funny. So in the States, this would be a whiskey, but in Canada, it's not.
It's technically not.
Technically
it tastes
not.
a lot like whiskey to me.
Exactly.
I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I understand, Kevin, that I know Co-op Wine Spirits Beer, you do all kinds of tastings, and you also do whiskey tastings.
We do. So at the Crowfoot location where I'm working on May 25th, I'm going to be hosting a flavors of whiskey tasting. Generally, most of mine are wine related because that's most of my job, but I, much like you, am a big whiskey aficionado as well. And I've got one coming up on May 25th. So it's going to be basically exploring all the different types of whiskeys, flavors that you get out of them, and different cask finishes, because Scotch is a big thing for finishing in Sauterne cask and sherry cask,
or port cask or whatever,
right?
Yeah, so my favorite. Well, I have many favorite Scotches, but one of my favorites is it's aged in a port cask, which is kind of fun because we just came back from Portugal last year, and it's like, well, maybe I should have gone to Portugal a long time ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know. And coopwinespiritsbeer.com, is that also where you get the tickets for the tastings?
Yeah, that's right. So you can, there's a calendar set up there. You can link all of our tastings at the different locations. So there's the 5 tasting centers in Calgary, Shaughnessy and Oak Ridge in the south, Midtown, downtown, and then Crowfoot and Beddington up in the north side of the city.
Nice.
So there is a location that should work for most people in the city.
Yeah.
And we run tastings basically weekly. We always take off the summer because it's difficult to get people inside when it's 28 degrees
when
and
it's
sunny.
Beautiful out. Everyone wants to be on their back deck, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Kevin Schorath, the sommelier at the Crowfoot location. End of May is his whiskey tasting. Again, coopwinespiritsbeer.com. And don't forget, on sale right now, Bridgeland Distillery, Tabor Straight Bourbon, BERBON. So go online to get it. And of course, this segment is called Inside the Glass, which is brought to you by Calgary Co-op Wine Spirits Beer, where you enjoy member-exclusive savings on your favorite sips. Just visit coopwinespiritsbeer.com.